Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Cartwright. I'm one of the assistant directors of admission. I am here with your host and all of the co-hosts. So I have a couple of housekeeping items that I want to go over before we get started. This session is being recorded, so I wanted to give you all a heads up that that will be happening. In this, you will also have the opportunity to drop questions in the chat. So that function will be on the right-hand side. As all of you are entering the chat, make sure that your camera is turned off and also make sure that your microphone is muted. That way that the panelists will be able to conduct their presentation. In the meantime, one thing that can be beneficial for you if you're viewing from a computer is to go into your top right-hand corner. And if you see a little note, it will either say speaker view or gallery view. Speaker view will enable you to have a really good and clear picture of all of the panelists. So without further ado, I will let everyone introduce themselves. You all can get started and my camera will disappear into the Q&A session begins. So see y'all later.
All right, thank you. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Tori Dennis. I'm an assistant professor of psychology and neuroscience here at St. Mary's. And I'm joined here by a few of my colleagues who are also part of the neuroscience program. And so I'll just introduce them and if you could wave maybe as I introduce you. First we have Dr. Eileen Bailey and Dr. Gina Fernandez and Dr. Sarah Latchney. All right, so we have kind of just a short presentation prepared just to kind of show you what our program is about and to just let you know who we are and what we're about. And so just give me about 10 or 15 seconds here to get everything set up and shared so you can see what I see. All right, let me make sure I have the chat box up so I can see any questions or anything. All right, so again, thanks for joining. This presentation, like I said, is just kind of a jumping off point just to let you know a little bit about us. And after that, we'll open up the floor and we'll have a, oh, it's in presenter mode. Thank you. Give me 1 second. All right, let me reshare that. Okay, is that better? All right, thank you. So this, like I said, just a short presentation to let you know a little bit about us, and as just a starting point to kick off any questions that you might have after this. So just to show you a little bit about our program and our approach to how we study neuroscience, we have a list of some of the courses that contribute to our minor here. And so we as a program approach neuroscience in a interdisciplinary way. So we're not just focused on, say, cellular neuroscience. We're focused on studying neuroscience from biological, chemical, psychological perspectives. And the reason I have this curriculum here isn't so that you have to go through every single course and see exactly what's offered, but really just to show you that our curriculum reflects that desire to be interdisciplinary, to have these different approaches represented. And so you can see that you'd be taking chemistry courses, psychology courses, biology courses. We have a course in philosophy, and then dedicated neuroscience courses as well. There's some courses on here as well that aren't actually listed under the special topics designation that are offered regularly. And so for example, this semester in psychology, Dr. Fernandez is actually teaching a animal models of neurodegenerative disorders class. And in biology, we have a hormones and behavior class being taught. And in biology, I'm teaching a stress and addiction class. So we have more here than is on this list if you are going through those courses. Give me a second. My light. There we go. At St. Mary's generally, but certainly in the neuroscience program specifically, we really value experiential learning. So not just learning about theories or concepts, but really learning through doing. And so this takes place in the classroom, but also certainly outside of the classroom as well. We're all active researchers, and we love having students come into our lab and do science, do work, and students who get involved early or are particularly dedicated. It's not uncommon for those students to go to conferences to present that work that they've done in the lab. And so we every year try to bring students to the big national conference, really international conference in neuroscience called the Society for Neuroscience Conference. And that usually bounces around from DC and Chicago and San Diego, just for reference. Like I said, we are active researchers, and so I have a list here of our neuroscience faculty, and so we'll be searching for even another faculty member next year. So we're expanding, and you can see that in this list a variety of different research interests, and the interdisciplinarity of our program is really highlighted here. So what I want to do here is just to stop talking myself for a few moments and hand it over to Dr. Bailey, who will talk about her research, and then we'll just go alphabetical. So we'll bounce back to me, and I'll talk a little bit about my work, and then down to Dr. Fernandez and Dr. Latchney. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to Dr. Bailey.
Thank you. I'll be pretty brief. I've been at St. Mary's for 20 years, and I've been an active researcher in the neurosciences for all of those 20 years. I've probably supervised now close to 100 students in the lab. Many of them have gone to professional conferences with me. I've published with several of those students. Several of them are now actually PhDs themselves. They have their own labs, or they're MDs, they're practicing doctors, veterinarians, things like that. It's been an honor, honestly, to have students in the lab, and I can't see it ever changing. Just really briefly, I most recently have been looking at animal models of depression. In particular, I collaborate with a lab at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. And we are looking at a compound that we believe has antidepressant effects within 24 hours, which is amazing because most antidepressants really take between 2 and 3 weeks to work. So we're really excited about the possibility of this compound in the future. Other research that I have done has really kind of focused around the neurobiology of learning and memory, right? So what happens in the brain when we learn or remember something. Okay, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, thank you. So I'm really interested in the neurobiology of drug addiction. So what kind of changes take place in the brain as a consequence of drug use. Within that domain, I'm really interested in like sex and gender differences and the influence of things like estrogen and progesterone on the process of addiction. I'm also particularly interested in the relationship between reward and aversion, and how things like withdrawal and extended withdrawal, so not just immediate withdrawal, but withdrawal taking place over several weeks or even months can contribute to relapse. And lastly, I'm really interested in any kind of treatment that can be developed to reverse these maladaptive changes that have taken place in the brain as a consequence of that drug use, and to translate that from a rat model to a human population sooner rather than later, so that we can start to treat this problem of addiction. So I'll hand it over to Dr. Fernandez.
Thank you. So similar to Dr. Dennis, I also am interested in examining animal models of drug abuse, but I approach it from a developmental standpoint. So our brains are still developing, human brains develop and continue to develop until the mid-20s. And so my interest is what occurs to that developing brain when you expose it to a toxin such as recreational drugs or alcohol or nicotine, for example. And so that's what I've been trying to develop a model of for the past 3 years since I've been at St. Mary's. And I do want to echo what Dr. Bailey mentioned. My research and Dr. Dennis's research as well could not happen without our student research assistants. And I think a huge plus of our minor and is that students get to work, undergraduate students get to work one-on-one with us and learn to be scientists from an early stage in their career development. So it's really exciting. And I couldn't do my science without students. So definitely come to St. Mary's if you want to.
Hello, so I'm Dr. Sarah Lachny. I am an assistant professor of neuroscience as well as biology. And I am a neurotoxicologist, so I study environmental chemical and how they affect neurostem cells and neuroprogenitor cells. So instead of using rat models like Dr. Dennis, Dr. Fernandez, and Dr. Bailey, I do a lot of cell culture work, looking at some of the cellular and molecular mechanisms of neurotoxicity. So I work with a lot of, I'm in my first year here, and I'm very interested in working with students that have interest in neuroscience at the cellular and the molecular level.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I just have, we just have one last slide here, and it echoes some of the things that Dr. Bailey actually mentioned, but we frequently get the question, well, where do our graduates go after St. Mary's? And so the answer is a lot of different places, and I think it prepares them well for diverse jobs and careers that they would want to pursue after graduation. And so some go straight into the job market after graduation. So working in a laboratory or as a researcher in a variety of settings, or as a surgical technician, teachers, behavioral therapists, and so on, just to provide some examples that we have listed here. And most of our students actually end up going to some sort of advanced graduate program afterwards, whether that's immediately after or after they have some sort of additional research experience. And so, as Dr. Bailey mentioned, we have students going to medical school, dental school, vet school, and quite a few students going to graduate school as well in a variety of different domains that you can see we have listed there. So what I'd like to do now is just to basically open up the floor to questions for any of us about anything that you just heard or just anything generally about the program. So I'm going to end this so you can see our.
If you don't mind, can I jump in and ask a question?
Sure. So
something that I was thinking about, and you all definitely touched on this, but that cross-disciplinary approach seems like something that really bled through in the presentation. I think some students may be thinking right now, in essence, do they need to be strong in biology or chemistry or have a background in psychology to kind of pursue this and thrive in it?
I can take it, I guess. I'm staring at my colleagues to see if any of them are going to get in. So I mean, I'd like to think that we prepare you to develop competencies in each of those domains. So the way the curriculum is set up, we have introductory courses in biology, introductory courses in chemistry, in neuroscience, and in psychology. So even if you're maybe a little, and those are available to take. So even if you don't feel like really confident right now in one of those domains, you have the opportunity to take those introductory courses and to get the foundations down, and then to move on to the advanced coursework from there. Did anyone else want to add to that?
I'll add, and I'll just say that what Dr. Dennis already told you, I think is very accurate. So we do have, most of our students are either majoring in biology, biochemistry, or psychology. They usually just come with one of those interests, but our program does make certain that if you love the biology side of things, that you have enough competency in chemistry and enough competency in psychology that you can go on and thrive. And that would be true of all the other combinations in that case as well. And I see there's a comment down there. We have a lot of students that double major with psychology and biology, but we also have students that will major in psychology and minor in neuroscience, or major in biology, minor in neuroscience. There's actually a lot of students that do that.
I'll answer the comment about what the minor in neuro can help to support graduate school admission. So it obviously depends on what graduate school you're looking towards, but Dr. Dennis, I believe, showed on the last stage that our students within the minor are prepared for the pre-vet, prepared within the pre-vet route, the pre-med route as well. And because of those research experiences that we all talked about, those are very unique, I think, to St. Mary's, in that you are engaging in data collection, sometimes hypothesis testing, developing the hypothesis, research questions, sometimes along with the researchers. That's sort of the one-on-one experiences that you would get at a larger school, to be honest. And so I think we're preparing you really well. I will say that there are undergraduate students currently that we're doing things that I didn't start tinkering around with until after I graduated with my PhD. So there's some pretty cool stuff that we're doing on campus. Yeah, so I will answer the Brain Bee question because I'm actually a co-chair. Yes, so this year unfortunately we had to cancel it because of the pandemic, but we had two first-year students that were participating in the Brain Bee that were also participants in the Brain Bee last year. And also there's another question about whether first years get the opportunity to participate in research. I've personally never had a first semester first-year student reach out, but I've definitely had a second semester first-year student reach out, because your first semester you're definitely transitioning to college life, but then once you figure out that neuroscience is for you, I'm all for it. So that's just my. The Brain Bee is a national high school competition, a neuroscience competition. So it's like the spelling bee, but for neuroscience, for brain-related facts. And so we host the Southern Maryland Brain Bee at St. Mary's. And we rely on students to get that done. Yes, there are summer research and leadership opportunities. Both Dr. Dennis and I have participated in the St. Mary's Undergraduate Research Fellowship. It's called SURF last year. And I also, if students are local or can figure out housing, they can also sign up for directed research, which is essentially you get class credit for doing research in a lab as well over the summer.
Yeah, I'll just add, so I've had a research grant from NIH, National Institutes of Health, and so have hired a research student over the past 5 summers. And so my grant is ending this year, but it's pretty common for students at St. Mary's, if they're particularly interested in research opportunities, to be able to find something to do over the summer. As we indicated in some of our earlier descriptions, we're all active researchers, and so we generally need help almost all of the time. So if you're interested, it's not hard to find an opportunity. I'll just add that there's been a couple of questions connected to medical school. I've supervised several students that have ended up going into medical school. I think their experiences in the lab just help strengthen their application to medical school, because they can talk about science in a very personal way, right? The projects that they worked on, in many cases, from the beginning to the end. And so they just have more intelligent things to say about the process of science. So I think it's really helpful to have research experiences.
Our research experiences also lead to really great letters of recommendation. These letters are important no matter what you do, graduate school, med school, a job, internships. The relationships that we develop with our students we're working with them one-on-one in the lab, and so we could say things, and we could communicate that relationship and the student's strengths through really strong letters of recommendation that you'll need for whatever your postgraduate plans are.
I think so. There's a new question there, and I think we might all have different answers to that question. So if you're interested in the health sciences, I'm going to actually have some of the others answer that question, because we have some really unique special topics courses that can be really relevant, I think, to your question about some different neuroscience in our core classes. And we have 2 instructors of those special topics classes this semester right now.
So if I understand your question correctly, one class that is taught, it's not a special topics course, but it counts for the neuroscience minor, and it's part of the psychology major, is drugs, brain, and behavior. It's a very popular course. And I love teaching it because we get to talk about, we start with just basic synaptic communication, how neurons communicate, right? What is the makeup of your central nervous system, and then how drugs affect that functioning, and then how it can lead to drug-taking behaviors and potentially substance abuse. And it has a whole range of implications across disciplines when we're talking about substance abuse, right? Right now we're in an opioid crisis as well, and we talk about how that, that opioid crisis is how it started, the implications of it and the ramifications of it. I also teach an animal models of neurodegenerative diseases course, which I love. It's so much fun. And every day we just get to, well, every week we get to discuss whether or not animal models are effective at helping us figuring out what's going on with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And we just engage, we just talk about things, and it's just so much fun. But anyways, that's just me.
And I'll just add I'm teaching the other special topics course this semester, the stress and addiction course. And it is, like Dr. Fernandez mentioned, I think they're similar in some ways in that it's a lot of discussion. Like we read articles, we come together, we talk about what's in those articles, but we also talk about whatever's going on in the world right now and how it can apply and relate to what we're talking about. So it is a neuroscience course, but I mean, in the spirit of just bringing everything together and making it meaningful, our discussions oftentimes incorporate more than just like what's going on with this set of neurons, right? So.
So I can try answering some of those questions in the chat. I think there's one question: what is one branch of the neuroscience that is taught that seems to be a bit difficult for students? I think that's actually kind of difficult to answer because we don't necessarily focus on branches of neuroscience. We're trying to give everyone a broad a broad understanding of the field of neuroscience. So there are certainly some topics that might be harder for students to understand within the neurosciences, but that's different from a branch. So I'm not quite sure if that is your question or not. And then I'll let others add to that if they want to. The next question is about how similar is the minor to a biology major. They are different. The biology major has different core courses, but there is some overlap between what you would do with a neuroscience minor and a biology major. So for example, the neuroscience minor does require upper division courses with a neuroscience focus, and some of those are actually biology courses. So those courses that you might take for the neuroscience minor at the upper division level may also count towards your biology major. So there is some overlap there.
Picking up with the neuroscience topic, that is difficult. It all depends on the individual's background and strengths. What's really great is that if you don't feel super comfortable in chemistry, you might flourish in the biology or psychology component of it, and vice versa, mixing up themselves. From personal experience, I think it might take a little bit of time to understand the action potential, right, and the basis of neural communication, but once you get it, it's just everything else falls into place beautifully. So generally that might be the first topic that most students need to study a little bit more, but they get it, they get it.
I can answer the question about the seminar courses, the regular seminar and the advanced seminar. Historically, what we've had students do is they'll take seminar in the neurosciences, and that's a 1-credit class. And that class meets once a week for an hour to discuss current research in the neurosciences. That student actually meets with the advanced seminar in neuroscience class as well. So really it's a blending of those two classes, the seminar and the advanced seminar. And the point of that is that we want our students that have already taken the seminar to enroll in the advanced seminar. So they meet with the seminar students, and you have a blending of students that are just learning or getting more skilled at reading and understanding neuroscience research with those that are a little bit further along. And we have found that that actually really helps students to process some of the scientific literature. The other nice thing about that is we have students from all different disciplines, right? So if you're a new student to the seminar class and say you don't have as easy of a time processing biology or the biology side of things, you can pair that student with someone in the advanced class that does have a strong biology background. So you can really get students to work together to understand kind of current research in the neurosciences. Hopefully that helps. I suspect that my colleagues have other things that they might want to add to that description.
Dr. Bailey, that was great. I will also mention that I think one of the reasons why we have a seminar and advanced seminar is neuroscience literature, understanding how to analyze it, how to extract useful information, and how to synthesize across articles and literature. That's a skill that's we can always learn, and we can always practice, and it grows. So your ability to understand a journal article on the first week of seminar is going to be very different from your last week of advanced seminar. You're just noticing different things. Your knowledge base has grown, and so it's just scaffolding or helping you to develop those skills. Some of the experiential hands-on learning, at least in my lab, occurs in the lab. We're working with animal models. We're doing the nicotine and alcohol exposure. We're doing learning and memory assays and emotional anxiety-like behaviors. That's some of the experiential learning. And I think Dr. Dennis has had a student do internships in other summers, right, Victoria?
You mean as a part of in my lab or outside of the?
Outside of the lab.
So we have had students in the past apply. So Dr. Fernandez talked about the SURF program that we have at St. Mary's. It's kind of a summer undergraduate research experience sort of program. Those sorts of programs take place for neuroscience specifically on colleges and universities across the country. And so I every single semester, the semester before summer, had been writing letters for students to apply to those summer research experiences. And so yeah, we're happy to support research here. And I think you get a really great experience that way. But over the summer, we're happy to support application to these other structured neuroscience learning research experiences that are available across the country. And that also looks really really good on a CV, on a resume, but it's a great experience too.
We have, just to add to that, I know a lot of people at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, and so we have sent several students up there for the summer. They have to go through a traditional hiring process, but our students tend to do quite well there because they already have research experience from working in one of our labs. But they'll often go up there for the summer and have a research experience there as well.
Have any of you had neuroscience experiences in high school, like a neuroscience course or brain science course? Like what is some of your background in neuroscience?
Hey, so I actually had to put myself on mute because my house got really loud. So I apologize, but we do have to wrap up shortly. So I apologize for that, but if anyone has any further questions, they are more than welcome to drop them in the chat. Would any of you mind sharing your email addresses if students would like to get in touch with you?
Yes, I can share mine. I'll just type it into the chat box here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you so much, everyone. This was fantastic. Did you guys want to share any insight to students who could be making the choice to come to St. Mary's, or just any last words that you would like to share with all of these students? They have some exciting times ahead of them once all of this is done, but a lot of them are extremely bright and looking forward to working with all of you.
I'll just add that I love St. Mary's. I really do. All of my colleagues are at St. Mary's because we want to meet you and we want to work with you and we want to teach you. So we really expect our students to come to our office, to come to our lab and learn things. That's why we're here. I said earlier, I've been here for 20 years and it's because I love it. And I love everything, my colleagues, my faculty, and the students. And staff. The staff is amazing.
Oh.
As a shy individual, believe it or not, based on how much I was talking. Somebody who wasn't really great at math in undergrad. This would be the type of environment that would have led me to, that did lead me to my PhD, to my ultimate career and job. And so that's the power of a small school, and it's the power of such great researchers working together. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I'm going to say the same thing that other people have already said, but I'm coming up to the end of my third year here, and it's been a really amazing experience as a faculty member. Great colleagues, great students, and the same reason that you all are looking at maybe a smaller place where you get more individual attention. That's the same reason we as faculty look for places like this to work. Like, we came to this kind of a location, this kind of a school, because we want those smaller classes. We want to actually know our students and who they are, not just that that the crowd looks a little thinner than normal in a classroom that has 200 people in it. So that really kind of individual approach, getting to know who your students are, is why I came here, and it's been really fun so far. Yeah.
Can I add one more thing? The neuroscience facilities at St. Mary's are outstanding. I'm not joking. For the size of the institution that we have amazing facilities in the lab. We're super, super lucky. So,
yeah.
Awesome. So thank you all so much. I did see a couple of questions about the PowerPoint. So this is actually being recorded, so students will get access to it going forward. Thank you all again. I hope you have a wonderful evening and weekend, and this has been incredible. So thank you so much.